This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. We are catching up once again with our old friend Jacob Wharton-Shukster, joining us live and direct from Toronto. So the last time we spoke to you was kind of at the beginning of the pandemic. How have you been, young man?
Oh, it's been a very exciting time, Jamie. A lot of things have happened. It seems like ages ago, even though it was only, I suppose, 6 months.
Yeah. So where do we begin? How's business been?
It's certainly been an interesting time.
Right.
With the restaurant, we moved from doing traditional sort of sit-down service to doing an exclusively takeout and delivery model
Right.
in March. Then we launched a patio, sort of brand new patio build in the back. That was quite successful over the summer and kind of dialed a little bit out of doing delivery and takeout.
Right.
And now with the, we elected with the stage 3 reopenings inside, we elected not to move back inside, just in the interest of health and safety of the community and our staff. But that sort of has since been rolled back to stage 2 in any case. So as we see the weather shifting out here, I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but in Toronto today is a gloomy, rainy day.
Same here.
And so, you know, we're sort of figuring out exactly what we're going to do in terms of either winterizing patio space. We have heaters and we have sort of a temporary awning, but we're thinking about doing a more significant covering and infrared heaters. And we're also going to be rolling out a new takeout and delivery menu this week. The butcher shop has been was consistent through the beginning of the pandemic. Then as restaurants reopened, it went back to being sort of more kind of where it was at before. And now we see it sort of ramping up again as we prepare for kind of like lockdown 2.0 or whatever it's going to be like.
Now, you mentioned heaters there. People are talking about heaters all the time, extending patio seasons and all that stuff. What is the bottom line when it comes to the cost of these heaters? And like, what's that going to add to your bottom line?
Well, at this stage, it depends when you bought the heaters. We purchased them at a time before the sort of big run on them. Heaters became the umbrellas of early spring or late spring. Early summer became the heaters of fall, and that was sort of the huge items that just completely sold out of everywhere. Yeah. So we did see some people doing some real price gouging on heaters. So purchasing stuff from China for $150, $200, marking up to $600, $800.
Bloody hell.
Pretty wild. So the costs are, the heaters themselves aren't egregiously expensive. The running costs are quite expensive. So if you don't have wired in so if you're using them at full blast, which you kind of have to, they tend to run through almost a tank of propane per day or per service. And so that's, maybe looking at up to $90 cost per day just to run the heaters.
That's for one heater, right?
No. For 3 heaters, we have 3. So it costs about $90 a day. Something in the range, $60 to $90 to run them. Right. But people are going to have to, what else are you going to do at this stage?
I understand.
We've also sort of partaken in a program with one of our friends' restaurants. Christina Vieira is running a program at a Bar Mordecai, donating some sales, a portion of sales with the sale of blankets. So we have like little mini fleece blankets that are for sale for $8, and the majority of the proceeds go to Covenant House, who run the Out of the Cold program. So it's sort of a kind of literal 1-for-1. We'll see if there's some take on that. I think as the interior dining has gone away in Toronto, people are going to have to eat outside if they want to eat at a restaurant, and perhaps just for the occasion.
Now, you never had a patio space before, and then with that program that the city opened up so people could spill onto the street into the kind of parking lane, I was, traveling about Toronto and thinking that looks as if it could be a bit dangerous. And then some nutter actually rammed right into your patio. Is that not true?
That's right. So we have two patio spaces, or had two patio spaces. Right. Because we had some space on private property, we elected to put up a fence, and we thought it would be sort of a nicer, more self-contained space on the patio for Le Phoenix, which is our pop-up restaurant. At the old restaurant space, we opened a pop-up bar called Bitter Days. So this is sort of the brainchild of Josh Lindley, who's the creator of Bartender Atlas. It's a Amaro and all things bitter themed pop-up bar that's sort of an outside thing.
Okay.
It's just like a $9 service included kind of walk-by bar was the idea. So it's very kind of European and fun. That space, we built out a roadside patio that was kind of cool. Sort of looked like Latin America meets Italy.
Yeah, it looked great
with lights and all that thing. So, and yeah, it was kind of cool. So that unfortunately and the patio next door, a intoxicated driver in the middle of the night rammed through at full speed into that. So that's pretty wild turn of events. Luckily, we didn't lose any furniture, just the fencing and all that stuff. So, a loss of a couple $1,000 in a couple of days' work. Unfortunate, but we just kind of took that bar and just moved it directly onto the sidewalk. It's a very small sort of project, so it's not a huge loss for us in terms of revenue, but real big pain and kind of a not what you want in the middle of the pandemic situation.
I guess you just have to thank your lucky stars that you didn't have customers sitting on the patio at the time, right?
Yeah, well, looking at we were able to recover the security camera footage from across the street that had really, really good shots. That was the one that was featured on the news. That was all the security cam from the Phoenix, and it's pretty rugged. I think the driver really did the old full send into the patio. The next door neighbor's restaurant, however, Gu Izakaya, they lost all of their furniture, which was all being thrown out there.
Yeah. All right. So where are you at right now, and how are you what are your thoughts about what winter is going to bring? Not just for yourself, but also for the Toronto restaurant scene as a whole.
Well, I mean, this is a really tricky time in the pandemic where it feels like things are getting worse and not better.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like the provincial mismanagement of testing and the poor back to school plan or non-existent back to school plan has really put us in a tough spot. So there is discussion about some support, further government support for restaurants, as announced by the Doug Ford government. But unfortunately, they kind of re-announced existing money. In many cases, or in a couple cases, they re-announced existing programs with reduced contribution. So, for example, they reintroduced the wage subsidy, but it's actually less money than they have been giving.
Yikes.
So that's what the federal government are doing. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of restaurants drop. We're going to try and keep this going as long as possible, and to try and keep this staff, employed and off of employment insurance, and try and take advantage of as many government programs that exist as possible. But I don't know. The real hard part right now is finding the creative energy to consistently reinvent what the restaurant does. It's not typical and normal to have to completely reinvigorate every aspect of your business every couple months. And these are normally projects that take many months or years to put together, and a huge amount of creative and financial investment. So to have to redo that so consistently and so frequently really, really has been wearing on myself, and certainly wearing on a lot of folks within the industry. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be another 6 months until we're looking at some better weather and potentially vaccine distribution. So, I mean, maybe things will get back to some element of normal in April, May 2021. But I mean, we're just going to do our best to try and skate through the winter.
Well, I wish you all the best with that, Jacob. I will definitely be coming down to visit your butcher shop, that's for sure.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate that. We're going to have some new stuff rolling out with the butcher shop. We're going to work on our sort of web stuff, and we have plans for the winter, but we'll see what holds, and we'll see what happens with the numbers.
Okay. Well, I'll be thinking about you. Thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution. Really appreciate your time as always.
Oh, thank you very much, Jimmy.
Take care.